Welcome to the Bead Sisters podcast. I'm Kay of Bead Sisters on most social media and Blueberry Chick Yarn, a Blueberry Chick on Ravelry. Today is March, 2020. Days are kind of running together. I am on my porch. It's beautiful today. It's actually a little cool. It's upper 50s maybe. I think it might get into the 60s today. So comfortable. I'm barefoot, although my toes are a little cold. We are in the season of pollen. This takes place right around the beginning of spring. And I had to wipe off my chair out here. I don't know if you can see it particularly on here. I didn't wipe off everything, just the chair where I'm sitting. This is the pollen that came off of it. Anyway, is it pollening where you are? Yeah, it doesn't snow here, it pollens. Well, I have some stuff to show you. I want to chat about stuff that we're doing while we're all sitting around the house. I'm getting some projects done and we have some stuff to share. So let's get started. Well, once again, I'm Kay. Welcome to the farm. It's, as I said, it's a beautiful day, clear blue skies. The temperature is comfortable and I'm really enjoying it. I will tell you, if you hear panting noises, that kind of thing, I promise it's the dog. She's right over there. And she always, when I come up on the porch, she comes up here to see what's going on. So at the moment she's laying down, she's being quiet, and I will let you know if she decides to come for a visit. So are you finishing projects while you have extra time at home? The only thing that has not been canceled for us is my daughter's horseback riding lessons, because they're individual lessons and there's like one kid at a time coming in, and once they're up on a horse they can't get within 6 feet of anybody anyway. So as of now that's still going on. Her teacher talked to me a little bit about it yesterday, I think it was, and she said unless they tell us we can't do it, she's planning to continue. Because kids are all out of school, she can separate it out and distance the kids more from each other in time, so she can schedule kids all day long if she needs to. So other than that, my husband is still going to his office because there's never more than 2 or 3 people in there. They are not seeing clients. He's a financial advisor. They're not seeing clients in the office. They're taking all their calls like by phone. They can't take, I think, email or text messages for some of the business, but they can talk to clients by phone. So they're doing that. And my son is still working 1 day a week. He actually works for an older couple and helps them with projects around their house. So as of now, he's still doing that. He's pretty low risk to them because he's not going anywhere except their house. So I think that's working out pretty well, and he can help them get some stuff done. My oldest daughter works for the library, and the library is closed to patrons. So she's still going in some, but she doesn't open the door to anybody. People can still return books through the book drop, which she can then process back in, and maybe some other administrative type stuff. But yeah, we're pretty much just sitting around here. How's it going for you? Are you stuck inside? Do you have a place where you can get out and walk? I hope so. Well, in the midst of all of this, I'm getting some projects done. I want to share with you a couple of things. This is Bonbon. This is a little toy pattern, knit toy pattern by Claudino Aguilar. I think that's right. And it's knit, you start with the feet. So you do 2 feet, and then you do hands, a tail, and the ears. And then you start with the body. There's no seaming, but you finish these with, she calls it a 3-needle decrease. And basically what you're doing, you have stitches across 2 needles and you knit those stitches together. So you end up with 1 needle of stitches all the way across and this closed. Sort of like a 3-needle bind off, but you're not actually binding it off. You're just going from stitches on 2 needles to stitches on 1 needle. And you just leave it on a needle or spare yarn, something like that. Then when you get to the body, you attach them by just doing that same thing again. You attach them to your working piece. So we got those attached. You work up a little bit. You add the tail, same way. Get up, add the arm, same way. Do shaping to, kind of shape it this way, shaping to create the head. And then when you get to the top, you add the ears. And you're stuffing it as you go. There's instructions in the pattern for when to add the stuffing and where to attach things. All of that stuff is very, very clear. So anyway, Bonbon's really cute. You also, for attaching the eyes, I don't know if you can tell, you can't really see it on this one, but you can right here. Do you see there's like a little purl stitch right there? It tells you where to put a purl stitch, and then when you get ready to attach the eyes, the purl stitch marks where the eyes go. I was lucky enough to already have some safety eyes that I could use. My daughter said she thinks it would be better with larger ones, but I used what I had. So I think he's pretty cute. There's also instructions for adding yarn nose and mouth. I haven't done that because I think he's actually pretty cute as he is. And this little speckle right here kind of looks like a nose anyway. The yarn is a one-of-a-kind experiment that I did a while back. It's a speckled worsted, but you could do this in different yarn weights and you would just get a different size bunny. This is stretched out like that, 8 inches high. My hand span is 8 inches. So anyway, Bonbon, really cute pattern, again by Susan Claudino Aguilar. All right, Bonbon, sit in here. The other thing I have finished, ta-da, is the Milky Oolong. Isn't that pretty? I'm pretty happy with this. This is the yarn that I have tried. This is the 3rd project I've tried with this. I started off with just the pink and green and cream, and it just was pooling in ways that I didn't care for. The yarn is from Daisy Knits, who is not currently dyeing yarn. So, and she's a sweet friend. So this project needed to be exactly right for this yarn because I wanted to love the project as much as the yarn. It's a lace weight, a sparkle lace weight. So I tried something else, which was the Dust of Snow. I've forgotten what the first one I did was, but anyway, I tried the Dust of Snow by Helen Stewart. I love Helen Stewart patterns, but it just wasn't working for me. But that has you hold yarn double with mohair, lace weight mohair. So I was already doing that, and I liked holding those double. I thought that was working well, but I just was not happy with knitting it. I can't even really explain why. I just wasn't happy with it. And my stitch count got off. I don't know, just wasn't doing it for me. So I ripped it out and specifically searched for a pattern that used the same yarns. So a lace weight held with mohair, and came up with the Milky Oolong. And you start here with a garter tab cast on, and it's very simple increases for this garter stitch body. Then you do this beautiful mohair only lace edge. The pattern actually calls for 2 to 3 repeats of this, depending on whether you're doing small, medium, or large. I did I think the medium and large are the same for the body of this shawl. So I went to the same size as that, but I only did 1 repeat of the lace. And I'm really pleased with it. This is blocked, and I am hoping to wear that for church on Easter. I don't know if church will be back meeting in person, but that's my plan for it if we're actually meeting face-to-face on Easter Sunday. If not, I'll wear it at home. I can't for the life of me remember who did the Milky Oolong. Oh, I do know. Susanna White. Do you hear slurping? That's the dog getting a drink of water. All right. Now, on to works in progress. Now, this one has not gotten any work done on it. These are just my plain vanilla socks that I started in December. They're the ones that I had the error, the drop stitch way back. I could have picked it up there and secured that stitch and carried on, but I ripped back. So that's how far I've got. I haven't done any, I don't think I've worked on this at all over the past week or so. I finished sock 1. So that's this one. And you can tell there was a fair amount of anxiety in my life. Up here, it got a little better down here. This is around Christmas when my aunt was not doing well. But anyway, pretty happy with that. And I'm fine with this taking a while. It's my travel knitting kind of project, which I'm not doing much, but when I need something to not have to concentrate too much. Oh, and this is my little whip keeper. It is from Twist Fiber Studios. Isn't that cute? Got it at SAF, I think. And if you haven't had one before, great for DPNs, but it works for a lot of things. It works great for magic loop. So it fits right in there and holds my project. The bag I have for this one is from Party of 5. Let's see the tag. It's actually from a Christmas kit, but I like these little llamas. Okay, the other project that I'm working on is the Nightshift. This is by Andrea Mowry. Now the pattern is designed for you to switch up colors as you go. So you would work this first little pattern repeat to, let's see, to here maybe? And then you would start switching out the background color as well as your other color. I have so far not switched either one. I'm just working it straight up in 2 colors of Malabrigo Rios. This is the variegated, and the gray is in here somewhere. There it is. I think what I'm gonna do, it calls for 9 pattern repeats. I'm on pattern repeat 4. When I get to halfway through the 5th pattern repeat, I think I'm gonna switch this background gray, the pale gray, to a darker gray. This is the comparison of the 2. So I'm gonna switch that, and then switch later. I may switch to this variegated, which matches this very nicely. Maybe, we'll see. The pattern gives you instructions for when to switch throughout so that it works with up to, I don't even remember, 6 different colors. But it also gives you a recipe for the pattern repeats. So it's up to you whether you switch them frequently, switch them not at all. It becomes totally your decision, which is what I'm doing so far. I'm actually really happy with how this is looking. And oh my goodness, I love the squishy I-cord edge. I love an I-cord edge. Do not be afraid of them. If you've never tried it before, not difficult at all. Pick a pattern that is a designer that you trust. They'll talk you through it. Helen Stewart does this quite a bit. This is the only Andrea Mowry pattern I've done that I can think of, but the instructions were great for this one too. So anything that's got an I-cord edge from a designer that you trust, give it a shot because they'll talk you through it. Okay, I have some suggestions for patterns, but I don't actually have pictures to show you, but I can mention a couple. It's actually stuff all by one designer because it's on sale right now. Actually, beyond on sale, these are free through the end of March. So if you get a chance to check these out before March 31st, which is coming up in not too many days, check out Dee O'Keefe. She has lots of shawl patterns. That's where her heart is. She loves to design shawls. And she's written a number of them so that they are beginner shawl or beginner lace friendly. and 3 of those are on sale right now. One is Shila, S-H-I-L-A. It is a triangle shawl. It uses 2 colors of fingering weight yarn so that there's garter stitch, there's striping, and there's some very simple lace. And she will talk you through it. Her pattern, something. Can't remember the name. Ashton. I think it's called Ashton Shawlette. That was my first lace shawl. It looks very impressive, but she talks you through every single step. It is designed for someone who has never knit lace and never read a chart before. So that's a great way to get comfortable with that. So definitely recommend Dee O'Keefe patterns if you are new to lace knitting. Okay, again, this pattern, Sheila, is free until March 31st, and it is great for new lace knitters. All the patterns I'm going to talk about from her are great for new lace knitters. Another one is called Beckley, B-E-C-K-L-E-Y. This is done in a single color of DK weight. You will need probably 2 to 3 skeins. It calls for 450 to 280 yards of DK. DK is going to run upper 200s-ish, maybe 250 or so yards per skein. So 2 skeins will probably get you there. It also has a garter stitch body, just like the previous one, with a center spine shaping. So when you start, it's going to be shaped rather than on the ends, you'll be increasing from the middle. It has a lace border again. It looks very different from the Sheila shawl, but just gorgeous. And again, she says great for new lace knitters. So she's written with her customer in mind, the pattern knitter who is working through lace for the first time. So check that one out. Another one that's also free until March 31st is called Lydian, L-Y-D-I-A-N. And this one uses a single skein of worsted, so less than 200 yards of a worsted. It's a cowl, and once again, written with new lace knitters in mind. So check those out, free through the end of March. And I would say her patterns are worth the price at any time. I think most of these run around $5 or $6 at full price. But if you can catch them before the end of March, you can try them out for free. How about some farm news? There's not a whole lot going on right now farm-wise. We have not gotten chicks yet, although that may happen pretty soon. Our local feed store, I think, has some. We need to check with them to make sure. But we need to get set up for chicks. I would love to have some more hens ready to lay. It'll take a while. They usually start laying around 5 months, which will put us late summer starting to get eggs, but you got to start somewhere. The only other option is to find someone who has what are called point of lay, which means they're going to be about 5 or 6 months old and they're right about to start laying or just starting to lay. The difference is those cost more, so you're probably looking at somewhere between $10 and $20 per hen if they're at point of lay. But you've been saved the months of raising them to that point and paying for feed when they're not really giving you anything back. So it's a trade-off. The chicks will probably be, when you get them from the feed store, they're usually less than a week old, and they have to be pampered because they have to be kept at roughly 90 degrees to be able to keep warm. They can't keep themselves warm. The advantage of getting them this time of year is that by the time they're ready to go out, it's pretty warm outside, and hens do pretty well, even as adults, up to the upper 90s. If temperatures are going to be getting much over 100, they definitely need a place to keep cool, so plenty of shade. The other possibility that has worked well for us in the past is to put out a sprinkler. They don't like to get wet, but just having the water running helps to keep that area a little cooler, and they do pretty well in that situation. So that's something that's probably going to be happening pretty soon. Right now we're only getting 1 or 2 eggs a day from the 5 hens that we have. Not terrible, but we could definitely use more, so I'm looking forward to possibly getting a few more hens in the next few months. Seed starting. I've got some good seed starting projects going. The herbs that I planted, the rosemary has not sprouted. I'm gonna let it go a little while longer and see what happens, but other stuff is starting to come up. I planted basil, that's doing really well in my indoor planters. It's certainly not ready for harvest yet, but it's sprouted in large numbers. Lots of little plants started, so I'm hoping that's going to work. The other thing that's starting to come up, sprouted pretty well, is dill. Dill doesn't necessarily transplant all that well, so I'm hoping that I can get at least some of these plants to get started outdoors for this summer. Some chives too, only a couple of those have sprouted, but I have some chives established in my herb garden already. It's one little clump, but it looks really healthy, and that's been coming back year after year, so I'm pretty excited about that. The other things that are already outside that are perennials, I have some lavender that died back quite a bit last year, but it's looking pretty good right now. I have some oregano and I have some sage that are already growing out there along with the chives. So that stuff's looking pretty good. I've planted some chamomile, a little bit of spinach, and something else that I can't remember, lemon balm, I think. Those are things that I've put out in my herb garden, and they're not sprouting yet, but it's been a little chilly. Those may start coming up a little bit more in the next couple of weeks as the ground warms up. It's not cold, it's not like the ground is frozen here, but having daytime highs in the 70s and 80s pretty reliably, I think may speed up some of that. If you have some good ideas for pantry recipes, let me know. Drop me a note in the comments. And I'm excited to get some more ideas for ingredients that most of us keep in our pantry. So flour, cocoa, maybe chips, cooking oil. What are some things you normally keep? Maybe some shortening. I actually got my husband to buy a thing of Crisco shortening so I can make pie crust. Not necessarily for pies, but for quiche. If we get enough eggs, quiche is a really good option for our family. I have some cheese, but the other thing I like to add are bacon bits. That works pretty well. If you don't have other stuff to add to it, bacon bits are a good option for adding to quiche. So those are some of the things that I have in my pantry. What are things that you keep in your pantry for baking during the time when it's tough to get out and purchase? One of the things that I made recently are no-bake cocoa, I forgot what they're called, coconut clusters or something. I really liked them. My husband doesn't, and I don't think either daughter likes coconut, but my son and I liked them pretty well. And that had coconut and cocoa and I can't remember what else. Anyway, those were really good. They did not require baking. They just required putting in the freezer to set briefly, and those were really good. So that was something that I was able to make. I had coconut in my refrigerator left over from some baking earlier. I also was able to make rolls. I think the pollen's getting to me. My eye is watering a little bit. I was able to make rolls yesterday. I had some bulk yeast that I've kept in my refrigerator for ages, and I made some rolls that were really good. It required yeast, milk, butter, and of course flour. Those turned out really well. I'm happy with them, but I'm almost out of yeast. I was able to order some more yeast in bulk. I'm not sure how long that is going to take. It said it was in stock and ready to ship, but how quickly that will ship, I don't know. I ordered from the King Arthur Flour Company. Normally, I would go to the store. There is a kind of a health food store called 14 Karat in Lexington that I think I've bought bulk yeast from them in the past, but it's been quite a while. But right now, because we're all mostly staying home, I'm not going to try to go over there and get in and purchase it. So hopefully I will get the bulk yeast in the mail from UPS, somebody, in the not too distant future. So again, if you have some good suggestions for pantry cooking, I am open and I'm looking forward to sharing some of that with other people. If you haven't checked it out, I have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel. One is seed starting. So there's it's called Simple Gardening Project, I think. And this is where I started microgreens in a little container from stuff that I purchased separately. So that's a good suggestion for some stuff that you might want to try. The other video I have is called Ask a Homeschool Mom. And I have lots of suggestions for things that you can do while you're home with your children if you're not a homeschool mom and you're feeling like, I need some ideas for stuff to do. It may or may not fit in with the curriculum that you're given from your school, but it's definitely some good activities to try. So that's a good idea. And I've tried to think of things that you can do with stuff that you already have, things that will not require a trip to the store for you. One of the suggestions that I made is starting seeds from dried beans. I will try to pop in a picture from where I started them and where they are now. They're growing like crazy. I put some, I think they're white beans, like Great Northern. I put some just straight into the dirt and some I soaked in a paper towel. If you're not sure if your seeds will germinate, like if they're older or if they're beans for cooking and you're not real sure, just put them in a wet paper towel, keep them wet for 3 or 4 days and see if they start to sprout. If they do, then you're good. Put them in some dirt and watch them grow. These are just in a disposable cup. It's a styrofoam cup that I had from something. But put them in a cup. It doesn't have to be a disposable cup. You can even start them in a plastic bag. That might be fun for a child to watch, or for anybody to watch the roots develop. So that's pretty cool. But I started these, I guess it's been a couple of weeks, week and a half. Some of them are probably this tall now. I'm gonna probably plant them outside in the fairly near future, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if I'll get actual food from it, but it's been really fun to watch these grow. If you have younger children, this is a really great project because it happens pretty quickly. You should be able to see results within a week. And I find that really encouraging for young children who are watching something to grow. When it takes a long time, it can get pretty frustrating for them. So this is one that'll work quickly. Before I go, first of all, thank you to those of you who have purchased from Blueberry Chick Yarn recently. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I still have some things in my 50% off section. I had planned to end that sale early in the month, but because of all the craziness in the world, I'm just going to keep that section open for the foreseeable future. There's, I think, at least 15 items still in that section. So if you're interested, they are half price. And if there's something you want to stock up on, you might still be able to do that. But products there, yarn in that section for indefinitely, probably till it sells out. If you know of someone who is a yarn dyer or bag maker, anybody, dyed fiber, whatever it is, if you know somebody who is truly dependent on that for their family's livelihood, go to them first. But I would be happy to see you in my shop, but I definitely encourage you, if your budget is limited, go to the people who are dependent on that for their mortgage and for their groceries. Let's take good care of each other. I hope that you are staying well. I hope that the people in your life are doing well. And I will talk to you sometime soon. Go wash your hands.